Uh, Episode 4, A Perfectly Good Wedding Ruined. It's your boy Icon with a DC television review for you. And before we get started, hit that notification bell, like it or subscribe to my YouTube channel because I got some cool stuff coming up in the pipeline because I'm currently like editing all my footage from New York Comic Con. So just give me a moment to do all that. But let's get started with some Superman action. So I'm a little upset. I'm a little upset. Not so much because he's back, because in the last episode, the general sacrificed himself, to give Clark his heart. He pumped his heart full of the juice, that Bruno Mannheim had created, and they ended up using that heart to reattach itself to Clark, and now Clark is back. That's not the problem that I have with this. The problem that I have with it, it's not even that I feel like they did something wrong. Because the thing is, if we were going into like the final episode, like the series finale episode, and then he got his heart back, and then he flew off and like kicked some ass and destroyed Doomsday or something, and then he flew back to the barn when everybody thought he was dead, and they were like, oh my god, Clark. I mean, that would have been a little bit cooler. Or if something happened where like his kids or Lois, somebody was in trouble, and then he just came out of nowhere and like saved the day. It's like, that would have been cool too. But here, everybody was just home like doing whatever it is that they normally do on a daily basis, and then he just showed up. Like, he literally just landed. I don't know where he got the clothes from. Like, he just landed. And he just normally showed up like nothing was wrong. They were just like, oh my god. And I'm like, I don't want to say anticlimactic, but damn. I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, Clark's back because, I said it's episode 4. And then it's another thing. It's like, he came back like super early. Like, he died like yesterday. Like, now he's back. But they said, well, after he's been back, they said it's been about 3 weeks, I think. It's been a few weeks since then. So Lex doesn't know that he's back and he's alive. So he's walking around like he's trying to figure out, trying to get himself reacclimated to life. He has a scar on his chest, from the open heart surgery. And Lois was making a comment that she was surprised that the scar hadn't healed yet because of his super healing. And you have to remember, he has a human heart that was pumped with Kryptonian blood into it, like Kryptonian magic or whatever the hell. And because of that, it's like, his mother, like Mama L said, it's going to take his body some time to adjust. So now that he's trying to adjust and he's trying to like get used to the heart, he said that he doesn't feel as strong. He said he can taste wine. Like when he drinks wine, he can actually feel the effects of wine. Like heat, he can feel the effects of heat and everything. He said that he doesn't have 100% super hearing out of his left ear. So, again, like the process of him getting used to the heart is going to take some time. But he's trying to like, but until then, he's just trying to like get to know his family. He knows that his sons have powers now, that both of his sons have powers. And he's super like into the Jonathan aspect of him having power because the two of them were like fixing the barn together. They were doing all sorts of things together. And Jonathan he's adjusted to having the powers very quickly. Like Jonathan pretty much knows everything, but he's still smart enough to know when he doesn't, which we find out a little bit later. So then Lois and Clark, like they're talking and then they're having a conversation. Clark is just like, listen, he's like, I'm fine. I just want to go out there and like kick some ass and go after Luthor. And then Lois is like, no, you need time because your heart still has to heal. And then she said, in the meantime, why don't you go take the boys training, since now both of them have powers. You can do a training session with your sons. Jordan was like, I'm not going. So he took Jonathan. Him and Jonathan went. They did the whole thing where they went to like the iceberg and then he jumped off the iceberg. Jonathan basically did everything right the first time. Like he did, even like the flying and everything. Like there was a moment where he was like, pull up, Jonathan, before you crash into an iceberg. And then Jonathan just flew right through the iceberg and just blew it up. So Clark was just like, well, shit, I can't say nothing to you now. So now, and then he's like super excited. He's just like, like my boy, this is my boy. And all of a sudden, like it's making Jordan feel some kind of way. Jordan's still going on and on about the videotape where Lex was just like, oh, thanks for saving your favorite son. He's trying to be like, and then he's also like, he feels the effects, he feels the pressure over the fact that he couldn't save his father. So now he feels like a loser. And then it's like, now that he sees Jonathan excelling at his superpowers when he had to struggle for months and months, now he's just kind of like, I don't even know what my purpose is anymore. He's like, I'm just going to let my brother and my dad do it because he's like, I'm nothing. And, but Lois tried to talk to him, and then he was just like, I don't want to talk. And then they spoke about it. And then, she was just like, look, I picked him because the boy had no powers. And then then he was just like, but it made me feel some kind of way. Like he's like, I wish you would pick me for once. And she's like, I'll always pick you. I love you both and blah, blah, blah. And the two of them like worked that out, and now everything's fine. In an effort for them to find Lex Luthor, they're trying to find the woman that basically got her dad like kidnapped, and the other guy, I forgot the other guy's name, but Everybody's trying to track them down. They're trying to listen for their voices, but they couldn't find them. There was a moment where Jordan actually did hear her because he has more superhero training than Jonathan does, but he didn't want to go to confront the lady. So Jonathan and Lois went to go confront the lady. They had a conversation, and Lois basically told her, either you help us and we protect you, or you continue to hide, Luthor finds you and he kills you. And then they dipped. Now, while this was going on, we have our returning character of the week, or characters, because there was actually more than one. So there was 3 returning characters in this. Well, actually, no, 4. Like, dare I say 4? At first, one of the returning characters was Kyle and Chrissy. So Kyle and Chrissy are back. Episode 4. Nice to see Kyle and Chrissy back. Chrissy's still rocking the bangs and everything. Her hair does look like it got a little longer. And now the 2 of them are getting married. They were trying to have a wedding. They couldn't have a wedding at the courthouse. Lois suggested that they have the wedding at the barn. And now we're going to have a wedding at the barn. While we were setting up the wedding at the barn, Sarah showed up, because obviously that's her dad, so she has to be there. She saw Jordan basically being all emo. She went to go talk to him. And for the love of God, Sarah made a turnaround. Because, like, this girl was the worst in, like, last season. And now she's, like, a breath of, like, she's the voice of reason, like, and everything. And, like, she's the breath of fresh air that she wasn't in season 3. So, kudos to Sarah for making the jump. But she was talking to Jordan. She basically was just like, stop being a bitch. And, and then she's like, get out there and, like, enjoy your family. So then now Chrissy's mom was coming to town, and like Chrissy was upset about that because she's like, her and her mom haven't spoken in a while and they don't really get along like that. They had a dinner with her, with her, Kyle, and the mom. The mom was basically being condescending the entire thing. And then she made some weird comments. She was just like, I get along with Kyle's like oldest daughter. And then she was like, I'm not surprised because you 2 are practically the same age. And I'm like, why are we acting like Chrissy just got out? Like, why are we acting like Chrissy is like a college senior and she literally just graduated like high school or something like 2 or 3 years ago? This girl is not 21. Like, Sarah's like 17, 18 because she's on her way to college. Y'all making it seem like Chrissy like 21 and the 2 of them could have been like best friends or like sisters or something. No, Chrissy's damn near 30. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Chrissy, like, yeah, Kyle's probably like late 30s, early 40s. Chrissy is like late 20s, early 30s. That is not a big deal. Her mom need to stop. So, but then like, the conversation continued, and then so now we're at the wedding. Everybody's at the wedding, like they got their nice outfits on, their suits and everything. We're ready to go. But then that's when Jordan had heard that there was a fire going on somewhere in Metropolis. And then like their dad, they were he was too busy like doing other things, so they didn't want to bother him. But then Jordan told Jonathan, he was like, oh, why don't you go? And this is where Jonathan's brains comes in at, because although he excels 100% at being able to use his power, he's not dumb enough to assume he can just do something he's never done before. Because when Jordan said, oh, you need to go help those people with the fire, he flat out said, I've never saved people before. And then Jordan was like, oh, but, you work for a fire department. You know how to save people. He's like, it's not the same thing. But then Jordan talked him into it. He was like, well, I can't do it. Dad can't do it. He has to lay low. So it's up to you. And then Jonathan said, fuck it. And he went. When he got there, Homegirl was there because I guess like Lex found her. They burnt whatever safe house she was in. They burnt it, and then they sent somebody to try to kill her. So Jonathan tried to protect her as best that he could. It wasn't working, and then he got beat up. So then that's when Jordan told Clark about it, and then Clark, despite him, not being able to fully adjust to having the heart yet, because there was even a moment during the training when he was training with Jonathan, the 2 of them were flying, and then Clark started having like an irregular heartbeat. And then he kind of like passed out and like crashed onto the floor. So there's still an adjustment period, but his boy's in danger. So he's like, fuck it, I'm going in there. He showed up. He had the Superman costume on. I don't know who fixed it. He had the Superman costume on. He flies in. He actually didn't really do anything. The guy tried to like blast him with like heat and it didn't work. And then Superman just walked into the gun and broke it. And then the guy and then they said that they arrested the guy so he couldn't tell Lex what happened. But Lex found out anyway. So like Lex is going to know that Superman is back now. So they ended up saving her, and now I guess like she's in custody, she's in protective custody, whatever, which is probably how Lex is going to find out that, Superman is back in the fold. And then I said, so that was safe. They brought everybody back. And then when they got back, they found out that Chrissy ditched her own wedding. Lois found her in town, and then she said like all the talk with her mom and everything, like made her feel some kind of way. And then she basically felt like she was kind of like rushing into it, despite the fact that she was pregnant. And then Lois talked her off the ledge, and she went back to the wedding. But they didn't get married They decided that they were going to wait a little bit long. They said that they do want to be together. They are going to be together. They're going to have the baby, but she said she's going to wait a little bit before she gets married. But they were like, fuck it, we already paid for all this shit, so let's just party and have a good time. And then that's when we got the other two returning cast cameos, which was Coach K. I believe that was his name, Coach K, the black coach from the football team. He was the DJ for the wedding. And Sophie came back. So good old Sophie, like Sarah's younger sister. Obviously, Lana wasn't at the wedding, but for the love of God, Sophie got tall as fuck. Like, she was tall. She's currently taller than her sister, and she's like the same height as Jonathan and Jordan. This girl was like 3-4 feet tall, like just a year ago. God, how children grow. So like I said, when Sophie's back, everybody was dancing, everybody's having a good time, and it was all gravy. So then when that was over, the family, like I said, Kyle and Clark had their conversation. Everybody's cool now. Everything's all good. Lois and Clark were like, they were in bed together. They was about to get it on and do the, well, actually, they weren't about to. They actually started doing the deed. And then while they were doing the deed, Lois's phone started blowing up, but she ignored it because she was doing the deed. And then when the camera zoomed in on Lois's phone, it was a bunch of different news outlets basically calling her to confirm the fact that Superman's back. So now everybody knows Superman's back alive. That was how the episode ended, and thank you for tuning in. So this was pretty cool. It was nice because he's back. Like, it was nice to see Superman back. But at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know. I just wish his return was a little bit more dramatic than than what it was. But it was still nice to see Clark back, and him be like mixing with the boys and seeing both of them have powers and trying to help both of them and train them. So definitely can't complain about that. And it's always good to see Coach, Chrissy, Kyle, and Sophie. And and Sarah. Sarah came back too. And I look forward to episode 5 when Lex finds out that Superman's alive and sends Doomsday to blow up Metropolis and Smallville. So check out my other reviews because I got the Penguin up on my channel. We're still doing Lara Croft Tomb Raider up on my channel. We're still doing Agatha all along. And as always, that's Superman and Lois. Check out my videos for New York Comic Con that's up on my channel. I should have about 3 videos. One should be live by the time you guys see this. And we'll keep rolling on for some more DC, Marvel goodness, television goodness, and everything else in between. So that was it, guys. So till next time, next week for some more Superman and Lois action. Take care because the Man of Steel is back, up and away as always. And we're out this.